Hello, sportsmen. This report is from Bow Camp up at Drummond Island. Hey, we didn't fill the buck pole with bucks, but we've been checking out a lot of practical inventions for duck hunting and for bow hunting, like this one right here. If you ever practiced in camp with a foam target, I tell you, it's hard to get this arrow out. Wait till you see how easy this is. Stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost with ideas on how you can become a more practical sportsman. Pottaganissing Bay, Drummond Island. This is where a group of us spent last weekend in hunting camp. Now, we had some trials and tribulations with our equipment, so we call this experience hunting for new ideas. We've had a lot of changes in the past year. Mill Creek Sports has loaned us this boat, which is exactly like the one we had a year ago. Charlie Keenan's PVC pipe frame for duck hunting had been battered a little bit during storage. We hadn't yet taken the canvas covering out of the bag, so we didn't know what shape it would be in. Tim Farragon is on the left, Dick Archer on the right. They joined me for this maiden voyage in the duck boat. Now, we were looking for ideas on how we could customize this boat in ways that would be inexpensive, relatively easy, and make the boat useful for a variety of activities. Of course, the best way to come up with these ideas is to use the boat in the way you want to. But all the time, analyze what you're doing and how you're doing it. Think about changes or different equipment that would make your activity easier. Oh, like building a box in the bow for these decoys, but a box that could come out when you're not duck hunting. We'll make one of those, and we'll probably put a dozen decoys on a mother line to make it easier to set them out and pick them up. Pottaganissing Bay has a lot of permanent duck blinds on shore, and a roof is an advantage during bad weather. It's possible to put a roof on a duck boat, but ours was originally designed to be enclosed all around with canvas sides. That way we have 360-degree visibility to see ducks coming in from all directions. Now here's a small group that's headed towards our decoys. They set their wings, look like they're going to land, but flare off. And they could have seen us moving in the boat, or they may have just changed their mind. I mean, ducks do that all by themselves. It wasn't necessarily anything wrong that we did. But we're not sure. Maybe that roof over the top wouldn't be such a bad idea. Cold and windy. But this has been a learning experience, even though we haven't limited out on ducks. One thing we found out is this canvas covering, which has been stored, put away wet. And what happens when you have canvas put away wet, well, like this, it's mildewed and all ripped out. So we're going to have to replace this canvas siding on here. In fact, we're going to come up with another method because this plastic PVC pipe, which seemed pretty good at first, has some problems. When it gets real cold, it breaks. And I'll show you right up here. Oh, you're going to swing around. Like this. We have some broken PVC pipe, broken pipe here. So we're going to make a revision on this, come up with a basic frame system with canvas around it, but we're going to have to change it a little bit. Yeah, I knew I wanted to make some changes, and Dick Archer, who's quite a handyman, was thinking about different ways of making a frame for a temporary blind on this boat. We talked about a number of solutions, but back at the dock, hey, we found some better ideas. Okay, that's our practical sportsman versatile boat. That, in fact, it has a lot of potential. It's painted the brown grass color. Now, our canvas that goes on the outside, you know, we saw that out there. We found this year it had kind of rotted and gotten mildewed. Our great PVC pipe, which a lot of people have looked at and said, hey, that's a great idea. I want to tell you, folks, PVC has its shortcomings for a duck boat. We've had a lot of difficulty keeping the thing together. So when we pulled up at the dock here at We Own a Resort, we saw a boat that may not be as handsome in its construction at all. Man, it's a steel boat. John Beauchart, this is yours?
Yes, sir, it sure is.
And he's from Yale, and this is a heavy-duty duck boat. But we had to climb over here. When you weren't here, John, we checked this thing over. Now, this is made out of conduit, aluminum tubing, which this looks like this will hold together. Yeah. Where'd you come up with this design?
It was just trial and error, mostly.
That's what we've been doing. We've been doing a lot of error.
Yeah, trial and error. I had a friend of mine in Alpena that's got one that's rigged up about the same way. And
show me this. We looked at this along the side. We've been looking at different ways of attaching the camo material.
This is just
Yeah, we had never thought about this method, which really looks pretty simple and handy. Hanging burlap on a wire, and you lift that wire between two aluminum posts. Now, if the posts are splayed out slightly, the wire holds wherever you hang it. John Beauchart designed the other side to hold a rubberized fabric rolled on a post. He unwinds it up over the frame to close in the back and make a partial roof. Now, this does limit visibility somewhat to the back, but it gives more protection from the wind and rain than an open top would. Now, frankly, we haven't decided yet what we want. Now, if you have a retriever, this ramp is really key. We'll see that in a minute and show how it allows the dog to get back in the boat. But overall, burlap suspended on a wire on one side, the back and top rubberized material, that makes a blind very much like you might build on shore. It's good for shooting safely over decoys in front. John Beauchart, two buddies, and his dog all fit in here comfortably. Now, one problem with a boat and a retriever is getting the dog back in the boat. That's where John's homemade ramp comes in. It folds out onto the water, and the pooch has no trouble stepping from it to the boat. A temporary piece of wood bolted to one side holds a dozen decoys on a mother line. Yeah, that's a good idea. Other feeder decoys are in a box. John Beauchart will use some of your ideas on our boat next year. If you've never camped out in late October, you might want to make sure you've taken some special precautions. We've done it a variety of ways, and we're still testing. John Ford bought a Jayco tent trailer this past summer, and it worked out pretty well in hunting camp. It can be a little crowded with hunting clothes and gear, even with just two guys, but the gas heater is a big plus. The pumpkin tent we borrowed had plenty of room for 4 hunters. It used a wood stove that was almost big enough. And remember that with a wood stove or campfire, you need wood, which means you'll need to bring a chainsaw to cut up fallen trees that are dried out. We borrowed this Kawasaki mule to try out in camp. Now, there's been so much flap about little four-wheel hot rods that are misused and have given a bad name to all ATVs. We wanted to see if there wasn't something available that was useful in camp and not prone to tear up the landscape. Well, this mule has a small, very quiet engine. You can hardly hear it running. It has forward and reverse. And while it's not a speed demon, the four-wheel drive can get it just about anywhere. The cargo box also tilts up like a dump truck, so you can dump wood or bait or whatever you need around camp. Built for work and not for play, we were impressed with the possibilities of the mule. Now, Uncle Josh makes a small wood stove that we tried for heating the pumpkin tent, but the wood capacity is really designed for an ice shanty where you don't have to stoke much wood. We'll use it this winter. Bow hunters in camp need to practice their archery shooting for deer, but carrying an adequate backstop for targets has always been a problem. We tried a couple of ideas this year. You know, at bow camp, everybody wants to practice their bows, understandable, but you don't have the big bales that a lot of people have, back in the city. So people bring these little not styrofoam, but they're a foam type of material, lightweight. You can set them up against a tree, against a branch, and shoot at them. They have a lot of advantages, but there's one major drawback. The drawback is not in shooting it. It's not in seeing it. In fact, this thing works real well for this stage of target shooting. I'll shoot at that lower left-hand circle. Okay, right there, it hit it. It isn't the problem either that the target fell over, because you can anchor that in place. But here's the difficulty that everybody has who uses these foam targets. Right here. And now I'm not exaggerating this, folks. See, it's sticking out the back end. This foam really grabs it. There we go. Whew. It was hard to pull out. But I met a guy who came to the museum, fan of the show. His name is Tom Phelps, and he showed me a new system for a camp target.
Basically, what the idea I got is I went to a clothing factory or a coat factory that made coats, and I bought their scraps. And what this is what they call hollow fill inside the jacket. Of course, when I buy it, it has material on it, so I have to tear the material off. And what I do is I just go to a granary and get a feed bag. You pick these up for about 50 cents a piece. It's a woven type material, and it heals itself when you shoot at it. And basically what I do is when I buy this, I get a bag hole probably about that big around and about that tall for $4.50, and it makes about 2 of them targets. So I've got $4.50 wrapped up for 2 targets plus another $1 for 2 bags. It's $5.50 for 2 targets. And they last and last and last. As you can see, this one I've been shooting at for years.
Well, I brought one of Tom's homemade hollow fill targets to camp, and I found that it had to be stuffed very tightly in a bag to work best, and I wanted to try it in a gunny sack. I think I'll go for the between the N and the T of pinto beans. Pretty close. Here, let me take another shot. Let me take another one. You get down there and see if it penetrates.
Okay.
John got off to the side with the camera, and I let another shot fly. The arrow stopped dead, didn't come close to penetrating the target. Now, the beauty of this is that it didn't penetrate the target. Now, that's about a 65-pound draw weight. Did not penetrate the target. Look at this.
It's slick.
Shall I do that again, John? Let me show you once again. 2 fingers, pull it out. Look at that, that's great. Puts holes in the front there, but nothing in the back. That is awesome. Compared with foam, give me a hollow fill target. Well, I guess there's little question as to which is superior for taking the arrows out of. And you know, this is lightweight too. I think Tom Phelps has a very practical idea. In recent years, bow hunting from tree stands had lost its appeal for me. I've known too many older hunters who fell while they were climbing up or climbing down or trying to anchor their stand to a tree. Last bow season, John Ford videotaped an uncomfortable Fred Trost clutching bark. But this year I found a way to get up a tree that doesn't scare me. This 2-part climber fits around the tree like this. And here is what sold me on it. Put the seat in place and get up inside the stand. Like I said, this is a 2-part deal. This top part here is your seat, and the bottom part is what you stand on. Now, lock your feet underneath here. See how I'm locking my feet underneath here? And lift it up a little higher on the tree. Then you can stand up and move the top part a little higher. Sit on it, lift the bottom part. I mean, this is really pretty slick. There's no doubt a well-constructed climbing tree stand is safer, but it does require trees that don't have limbs. I tried the rigid metal one, which was a little noisy, and a quieter one made with steel bands covered with rubber. Each has its advantages, but I was comfortable with both. This makes going up and down the tree a far different proposition. So now I have my choice. I can hunt on the ground, I can hunt in a tree, so you just might find me out there almost any place. 2 weeks ago, I asked Joe Lunchbucket Sportsman to join me at a meeting of the House Conservation Committee, and more sportsmen showed up than could fit in the hearing room. The message that these sportsmen brought to the legislators was that they wanted their hunting and fishing license money spent exclusively for fish and game management, and asked the legislature to see that this is done. This past Tuesday, the committee discussed amended House Bill 4091, sponsored by Representatives Alley, Middaugh, and DeMars, a bill that would create an autonomous hunting, fishing, and recreation agency with its own director who administers an independent budget with an independent staff. This would give sportsmen their own agency again. Now, speaking against the bill was Rick Jameson, representing the Michigan United Conservation Clubs, who said that MUCC was opposed to separating hunting and fishing monies from environmental monies, opposed to having a separate staff and director, and opposed to having the governor appoint this director. MUCC's position, according to Jameson, is that DNR problems aren't significant enough to change the overall system. Well, speaking for the bill was me, representing the Practical Sportsman Club, and my testimony was contrary to the MUCC position. I said the sportsmen I represent want their license money accounted for separately like it used to be. We want a separate and identifiable hunting and fishing staff like we used to have with the Conservation Department, and if the governor openly appoints the director, we'll know whose chain to pull if we don't think our hunting and fishing license money is being spent properly. Our overall position is that DNR problems are significant and require a major change to separate hunting, fishing, and recreation management from the public health-related activities of the environment. Now, keep in mind that the House Conservation Committee doesn't look at the DNR reorganization as a political issue. They see it as a money management issue. A lot of Republicans and Democrats, including the governor, are working together to fix what seems to be wrong with a huge and fumbling DNR. But what do you think? Do you want a change in the DNR? Are you for the creation of a hunting, fishing, and recreation agency? If you do, or if you don't, now's the time to write or call your state representative and senator to tell them how you feel, because your local legislator could be voting on DNR reorganization in the months ahead. Now, if you do want a separate agency, get the word out to say yes to hunting, fishing, and recreation in Michigan. That's the slogan of the Practical Sportsman's Club on this issue. We hope the legislature agrees when this issue comes up for a vote. I want to take a moment here to let deer hunters know about the 1993 Real Tree Hunting Awards. Now, we've got our computerized system back in order, and when we get your entry, we put data into our computerized database. We'll send you a certificate, which I sign, saying that you got a trophy deer, turkey, bear, or elk, and you get invited to pick up a special award on stage at the Hunting Awards banquet at the end of February. This is where we videotape the trophy book stories that we run on the show during the year. Now, getting an award is free. All you have to do is fill out the official entry form, get the proper signatures, fill in the necessary data, and include a photo. Make sure your trophy meets our minimum requirements. Now, for white-tailed deer, that's 10 antler points, outside spread of at least 18 inches, that's one or the other. A bear must be 250 pounds. Turkey must have at least an 8-inch beard. Now, we'll have the biggest racks we can find in each point category on our Big Buck Night. That'll be on Thursday night, December 9th. Videotaping will be done on the Saturday before, December 4th. Now, good luck, and be sure you let us know about your trophy. William Wiswell from Grand Rapids puts finishing touches on his cream of brie and rabbit soup. Bill has been in the cook-offs a number of times. He just had an operation, but the doctor released him so he could participate on this show. William Wiswell, you have come year after year with wild and crazy recipes. And this year you have this cream of brie?
Cream of brie and rabbit soup.
What is it? You've never come with anything so...
Well, it started out to be an appetizer. It was supposed to be rabbit nuggets with a brie sauce to it, but it sort of got out of hand, and I had way too much sauce so I could thin it down, and it turned into a soup.
Yeah, but you know what surprises me? You've always had soups that are thick, and you like a lot of stuff in them. This looks like a departure.
Well, after last year, I figured I'd go a little bit.
Try a different angle?
Yeah, and so instead this time I went for to be definitely not a diet type. I mean, there's 3/4 pound of brie in this, and the milk and stuff is, so it's good, but it's a little rich.
I think you have a judging panel here who loves rich. I just have that feeling. Why don't we go over and see what the judges are going to say?
Happy birthday, William. Oh, they were both excellent. This one was so rich and full of meaty, hearty soup, and the flavors combined really well, really robust.
I like the way, the texture of it. It
Yeah.
was ground.
It was very good, very good. You can see
But
it's gone.
cream of brie and rabbit soup, another gourmet game recipe prepared by William Wiswell. All of the recipes you've seen on this program since October 1st will be published in the Practical Sportsman magazine. Due to some delays in our publishing schedule, we've decided to combine the October-November with the December-January issue, which will be an extra large issue that comes out at the end of November. It'll contain the 1992 Hunting Awards, along with charts and graphs analyzing hunting and fishing awards data. A special section of articles will have departments on firearms, including shotguns, rifles, pistols, and muzzle loaders, archery, including traditional and high-tech, Warm and Dry, which is a brand new department on products designed for outdoor comfort. Fishing focuses primarily on ice fishing, which is coming up soon, snowmobiles and ATVs, where we'll announce a practical sportsman trout fishing trip from Drummond Island across to Canada. In addition to a free issue, I'll also send you information on some new special benefits of joining the Practical Sportsman Club. Write to me. I'll send you the October through January super issue by the end of November. The 24th of October at midnight, you were out there. It had to be a little chilly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You dress real warm.
Now, do you do this a lot?
Yes.
Your husband wanted you to mention something.
That he was captain of the boat that night.
Now, what does that mean, he's captain of the boat? What, he wears the hat and he gives the orders?
No, if the boat wouldn't have been there, I wouldn't have caught the fish.
Oh, so he wants some credit on this to justify the boat. But a couple years ago, you caught a 10-pound walleye.
Yes, he was also captain that night.
Oh, of course he was captain that night. Does your husband catch any fish?
Yes, he's the one who mounted the first one.
Oh, he is.
9 pounds.
Oh, 9 pounds that you caught?
No, he caught that one.
He caught that one, but he can't catch anything over 9 pounds, huh?
I guess not.
Okay, her husband can't catch anything over 9 pounds. Nancy caught one that's 12 pounds, 2 ounces. He's the captain of the boat, but we know who wears the captain's hat in the family, right? Nancy Bialek from Muskegon proved that October walleye fishing is great with his 28-inch 12-pounder. In the hunting category, Ken Arquette from Carleton came up with a trophy 10-point buck in a very unlikely county. Okay. This is a 10-point with a 20-inch spread. The interesting thing about this is he got it bow hunting. What county?
Wayne.
Wayne County. We're talking Detroit.
Woodward Avenue.
Say what?
I said Woodward Avenue.
No, you didn't get this on Woodward Avenue.
No, close.
I bet. But this is from Wayne County. Who would expect it? This is a Pope and Young scoring buck. And the biggest buck taken with a bow in Wayne County of all time.
Yeah.
Right?
As of right
Congratulations, Kenneth. The number at the bottom of the screen during the guide report, that's the number here at Practical Sportsman. Doug Tabor would like to hear from those of you who have businesses or communities with buck polls. We want to find out how it's been, how you think it's going to be this year. We want to keep tabs on that. So call that number. We'll leave it up during the guide report. Now, check the fish part of this as we go through. I'm going to be singling out the buck portions of our guide reports. Lots of bucks in the Keweenaw. Gun season looks good. Bow hunting is picked up at Lindquist, they say, around Marquette. Excellent acorn crop with rut just starting. Bayshore bait and tackle. Deer prospects good. They are getting some big walleye in Bay de Noc. Harry's Place, Muskogee Bay, deer hunting has been slow. Drummond Island, well, it has changed a little bit in the past week because I think the rut is just starting, but there are lots of deer up there. Four Corner Sports, Harbor Springs, they're doing some fishing, but lots of deer. They say the rut is hot and heavy. Pilgrim's Village at Cadillac. They say the rut is just starting. They're seeing less deer, but bigger bucks. Some parts of the state, that's so. Now over here at Lenny's at Houghton Lake, saying lots of deer, but not many big bucks. Lots of small ones, rut just starting. Pentwater, we're looking deer heavy in rut again. Lots of bucks being seen. Captain Nichols doesn't have a deer report, but says perch are still being caught in 100 feet of water. They're catching some steelhead and walleye down on the St. Joe. Anderson Archery in the mid-Michigan area says deer kill appears to be down from their reports. Lots of bigger bucks seen, though. Mill Creek Sports, Washtenaw County, says bow hunters are doing about the same as last year, but the racks seem to be smaller there. Riverview Bait and Tackle, walleye fishing is fair in the Saginaw-Tittabawassee, but the deer prospects for the thumb look good. You don't think game laws are complex? Well, November 1st, turkey season closed statewide, and trapping for muskrat and mink opened in the northern lower. Portions of Muskegon and Ottawa counties opened for beaver and otter trapping. In the southern lower, raccoon, fox, coyote, and badger seasons opened. Check the rule book, though, for exceptions. November 7th, duck season ends in the northern lower, and goose closes in the Saginaw management area with some exceptions. November 9th, beaver and otter trapping opens in B and C. November 11th, quail season ends, as well as waterfowl hunting in the southern part of the state. ATA trap shoots this weekend in Durand, Walled Lake, and Muskegon, along with an IPSC handgun shoot in Hastings. Sight-ins for deer hunters open at the Washtenaw Sportsman's Club and the Oakland County Sportsman's Club all weekend, with turkey shoots in Pulaski and Utica. There's a gun and knife show in Davison all weekend, and Chef Milo's last game cookery class will be Tuesday in Southfield. Practical Sportsman weekends coming up include sporting dog puppies on November 6th and 7th. That's this weekend. On November 26th, we'll have a deer butchering demonstration, and both days we'll try a Christmas gift mart for sportsmen. If you'd like to be an exhibitor, give us a call. Taxidermist Tim Hayes will work at the museum from noon to 5 Saturday. The museum is open 7 days a week. Give us a call for any information on events you saw on the calendar. If you haven't dug out your warm clothes from down in the basement yet, be sure you do. This is the time of year to put it on. It's kind of a sad time of year in some ways. I mean, the hunting seasons go by so fast. Duck season is already over. Holy cow, bow season. Well, we got to look towards gun season coming up very shortly. But the snow is starting to fall. Don't waste any time, folks. Get outdoors this weekend if you can, because it's still a great place to be. See you next week.
Fred Trost Practical Sports in your community, and by the financial support of viewers like you.